this is Rachel from Mushroom Moon Designs, and in today's video we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be talking through some of my favourite arty farty books. So these are books that are suitable for anybody who's interested in art and creativity. There's something different for everybody. So the books I'm going to be looking at today are True Colours, a palette of collaborative art journals, Living Artfully, create the life you imagine, The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, The Antiquarian Sticker book, and Flow, a book that takes its time, an unhurried adventure in creative mindfulness. So I'm going to start off with this one, the Antiquarian Sticker book. I'll just get a closer look there. And I brought this book for my mum for Mother's Day, but liked it so much that wanted a copy for myself. So my husband brought me a copy for Easter, and it has not disappointed. It's a beautiful book, and inside is a collection of over 1,000 Victorian images, but all of them are stickers, so you can peel them off and stick them in your artwork, your journals, your collages. And it's a really good resource to have. It's also a really beautiful book. So inside we have these beautiful marbled pages, and then as we go further into the book, I have actually used quite a lot of the stickers out of it. You can see it is full with Victorian stickers that you can just peel off and stick into your work. Some of the complaints about this book have been that some of the stickers are quite unusual. So things like snakes and beetles and weird men flying, wombats and all sorts of things. But I think that adds charm to this book. And in a few weeks' time, I am going to make a altered book using some of the more difficult to use stickers out of this book. So keep your eyes peeled for that video. So yeah, this is a really good resource for junk journalists, collage artists, or even if you just like stickers. A lot of people buy 2 copies of this book, one to keep pristine and one to use the stickers out of, because it's such a nice book to look at and such a nice book to use. Another great thing about this book is behind each sticker page are 2 ornate patterned pages, so that if you cut your stickers out, it doesn't matter, you're not going to cut through onto some more stickers. Otherwise, you can use this paper in your journals, or you can collage onto it, use it for paper crafting, all sorts of things. So there's these 2 pages on the back of every pair of pages. You can see they're the same colour, but they're also really beautiful, and you can use them in your crafts. So what I have done with some of the stickers, as you can see, when you peel the stickers off, they do have a border around them, and sometimes you don't really want that in your work. So what I often do is just cut out the stickers like I'm fussy cutting them, and use them in my work that way. Another complaint has been that the glue isn't very sticky on the stickers, but that's fine. I found that it's not too bad depending on what surface you stick it on, and you can also just add a bit of glue. It's a fantastic resource, and I think for the money, in UK it's about £16 on Amazon, and I'll link it in the description box below. But it's definitely a great resource to have if you are into junk journaling, paper crafting, collage arts or anything like that. Called The Artist's Way. It's a course in discovering and recovering your creative self, and I really love this book. I've gone through the course several times at different times in my life, and it really does help you to think about your creativity in a different way. It's also really good for people who perhaps are too afraid to start being creative. Say if you've always wanted to be a filmmaker, or you've always wanted to write a novel, but you've never had the confidence to do that. This book and this course will help you to gain that confidence step by step. It's also a really good resource for any practicing artists, whether you be a writer, a visual artist, a crafter, a chef, whatever your art form is or your form of creativity. It's really good if you have creative block. So this book will help you to work through your creative block. It's basically split into week by week courses, and it has an essay, lots of quotes. As you can see, I have underlined a lot of mine, and there it has questions to ask yourself, and at the end of each chapter you have a set of questions and activities to do for that week. One of my favourite things that I have learned from this book is about automatic writing. In this book it is known as morning pages. So essentially you write 3 pages of handwritten stream of consciousness in the morning, and through this you release a lot of your tension. You also release a lot of your anxieties, and you also find out what it is that is blocking you through this process. It's a really good process for anybody who's an artist, but also for anybody who suffers with any kind of mental health issues. I would really recommend these morning pages. For the first few weeks you don't read back what you've written. You don't have to worry about other people reading it, because it's not for other people, it's just for you. And then after a few weeks you can go back and you can see all of the themes that occur in your book, in your writing. So that's one of the activities that I found really useful. Another one of the activities is taking yourself on dates, artists' dates. And this doesn't necessarily mean going to an art gallery, although it can do. It can be anything that sparks your interest or fills up your cup. So if you've always wanted to go rollerblading, for example, but have never been brave enough or never had an excuse to do it, this book encourages you to go out once a week, take an hour just for yourself, not to take anyone with you, and just go and do the things that inspire joy and creativity in you. Whether that be rollerblading, whether it be going to an art gallery, whether it just be walking around a shop that you really love. And I really like that because so many of us don't take the time to invest in ourselves and our own interests. And in order to be an artist or to create, you need to fill up your own cup. And so these artist states allow you to do that. They give you inspiration, they give you ideas, and they give you joy. And all of this can be transferred into your creative work. So this is something that I would really recommend. This book does have a little bit of a religious undercurrent. I myself am not religious, and this book does reference God, but it doesn't specify which God. So you can just substitute the word God for whatever it is you believe in. So for me, I like to think of the universe or creative energy, something like that. So you don't have to be a Christian to read it. You don't have to be a theist to read it. You don't have to believe in a God. It is a really, really brilliant resource. Next up we have this book, Living Artfully, Create the Life You Imagine. And I've had this book for a long time. It was an ex-library book, and I think I got it when I used to work for the library service. It's a really, really positive, fun, light-hearted book, and it basically is about how to put creativity and art into the everyday life. So the most mundane things in life, how you can fill them up with creativity and make them into something joyful. It's also about how you can create your life. You can put a mark on your life. You can make things around you more beautiful, more interesting by injecting creativity and art into every day. So it's a really nice book. It's got lots of these big pages that have quotes, beautiful quotes, positive quotes on. There's a lot of text, a lot to read. There's also there's a lot of information about the author's life and how they got to this place in their life. I think the person who wrote this book creates artworks that intertwine words with visual art, and that's where they found their niche. It's also got different tasks that you can do and ideas for various celebrations with friends and family. So it goes through step by step on how you can make celebrations more creative, or things like how to make your gardening more creative, how to make your office more creative. So from the simplest things like how to make your dinner to how to send a message to a friend, these are all creative and artful ways of making your life a more creative and artistic one. Next up we have this Flow, a book that takes its time, and this is a book from the creators of Flow magazine. Flow magazine is a magazine for artists and creators who love paper. The magazine is really beautifully made. It's got loads of lovely images in, loads of lovely paper that you can take out and use in your projects, lots of interviews with artists, things like that. And they also make various products such as books, journals, etc. to go along with their magazine. And this book is all about mindfulness and creativity and how to take each day one day at a time, one step at a time. And what I love about this book is it's really, really beautiful. It's full of paper, stickers, things that you can use, notebooks, all sorts of things. As you'll see as we go through this book, I have used a lot of the book and a lot of the things inside the book in my projects. It's very nicely illustrated all the way through. It's got loads of really interesting articles. It's got poems. This section here was full with little beautiful moments, cards, which are little cards with images on one side, and the other side it says a beautiful moment. And the idea was to make a beautiful moments jar, so every time you had a beautiful moment you'd write it down on the back, put it in your jar, and then at the end of the year or the start of the next year you can go back through your jar and recall all your beautiful moments. I've used all of these. I didn't make a beautiful moments jar. I actually used them in my junk journals and paper crafting as ephemera and for making tags and pockets, things like that. It's got loads of really beautiful illustrations in. A lot of these full page artworks or photographs, prints that have a perforated edge, so you can take those out and frame them. It's also full of activities such as this is a timeline that you can fill in about your life, and then at the end it has loads of little illustrations that you can cut out and stick onto your timeline. It's got loads of things like lists and activities to fill in. It had lots of stickers in it, which I have used the majority of. It has DIY activities and arts and crafts projects, papers that you can take out. So this is writing a letter to yourself. It also had things like collage sheets with images that you could take out and collage. Loads of really beautiful images that you can use in your artworks, junk journals, or you can just keep it all together in the book. And it's a really nice place to take your time and do some creative writing. Last but not least, we have this True Colours, a palette of collaborative art journals. And this book is full of inspiration for anybody who loves to make art journals, use sketchbooks, or make junk journals. This book is based on a project in America where a selection of artists all across America took part in an art journal project. Each artist chose a colour to start with, and they all started their own journal based on that colour scheme. When they had completed the first page and a few pages from within the journal, they then posted it on to the next artist who did the same with their journal, and then they filled in their own perspective on that colour scheme. And so all these journals rotated around the 15 artists around the United States, and they all collaboratively filled in the journals. And this book goes through page by page into all of the different journals and discusses how the artists chose, what materials, ideas, what colours to use. And it's a really fantastic resource for anybody who is interested in art journaling. And if you have a look inside, it's full of really big, beautiful photographs of the completed journals. And it's also full of interviews with the artists, explaining their work, how they came up with the ideas. A lot of the artwork in here uses mixed media. So there is collage, there is painting, there is metalwork, there are even CDs that go along with each journal with a soundtrack on. So there's some really interesting ideas in here, and it's a fantastic resource for anybody who loves junk journaling, sketchbooks, things like that. But it's also just a really beautiful book to look at, and it's a great idea, I think, to collaborate with other artists on a project like this. So you get to see what other artists are doing, you get to see what other artists are inspired by, all with the same theme. So I think that's a really, really interesting project, and I'd really recommend this book. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video, something a bit different from what I normally do. If you're interested in any of the books, I will link them all down below. If you have any arty farty books that you'd like to recommend and share with everybody, please leave a comment down below. And I'd also love it if you liked this video, if you could like, comment or subscribe on my video. That would be really, really appreciated. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I will see you again next Saturday for another video. Thanks, bye.